We begin with a man in a Jeep listening to the radio. He looks at a photo of his friends before he hears about a dinosaur on the loose and heads towards it. Before he arrives, we meet two members of the Department of Prehistoric Wildlife, or DPW, Mike and Ronnie. They grab their guns and go find the dinosaur. They discover the Pachyrhinosaurus behind a large bush. Mike aims his gun at it, but is stopped by Ronnie. He accidentally shoots the dinosaur, which angers it, and it starts heading towards them. At that moment, Darius, the man in the Jeep, arrives and manages to calm the dinosaur down. He then notices a metal wire stuck in the dinosaur's foot and pulls it out, which makes the dinosaur feel better and calms it down. Ronnie hugs Darius, and we learn that they used to work together. Darius left because he wanted to catch the dinosaur responsible for killing his friend, Brooklyn. Ronnie reminds him it won't bring his friend back. Before they can take the Pachyrhinosaurus away, they are attacked by another dinosaur, an Allosaurus that Darius has been after. Darius has a flashback of the night. Brooklyn was killed by the dinosaur and starts to chase it in his Jeep. However, a flattened tire causes the dinosaur to get away. Ronnie tells him to go back, but he calls Brooklyn's cell phone and leaves a voicemail telling her he's going after the Allosaurus to avenge her. He goes home to grab some tools, but before he can leave, he sees that his spare tire is also flat. He goes back inside and picks up a call from his brother, Brand. Brand checks up on him and once again tells Darius to stay out of trouble. That night, Darius watches old news footage of 6 teenagers who survived the Jurassic World Nublar 6 incident, where they were left behind for a year while attending camp and were presumed dead. He was one of the survivors of the incident, and we are introduced to the other 5 friends, Ben, Sammy, Kenji, Yaz, and Brooklyn. They are shown to have a good bond with each other. Sometime later, the ringing phone wakes Darius up. He picks it up, but no one is on the other end. He hears someone outside his door, so he grabs his electric rod and attacks him, only to find that it is his friend Ben. Ben acts strangely and seems like he's hiding from someone. When he mentions the Allosaurus, Darius tells him how he saw it too and told Brooklyn about it. Ben is shocked to hear this and reminds him that she is dead. Since Darius blames himself for her death, he leaves messages on her voicemail to feel better. This is when Ben tells him she was targeted and that it was not their fault she was killed. Darius does not believe him. Ben tries to show him the threats he has gotten, but the messages have been deleted. Ben tells him they will be targeted next. They are interrupted when they see a dinosaur outside. 2 dinosaurs break in, but both of them manage to defeat them and get out unharmed. As they lay outside the door, they notice another dinosaur who comes out of the shadows and charges towards them. The dinosaur attacks them, and the 2 friends jump out of the way and run towards the Jeep. Darius realizes that he has forgotten his keys in his cabin, so they make their way to Ben's van. After defeating the dinosaur, they run away. The dinosaurs chase them, but the duo manages to get away. Ben sees this as proof of being hunted, but Darius is still unsure. Ben explains how it can't be a coincidence that his security was turned off, or how the raptors managed to get to them. Ben throws Darius's phone away so that they don't get tracked and suggests they make their way to Texas to warn their friend, Sammy. While driving, Ben recalls the night he met Brooklyn at his campus and talks about how some conspiracy theories online seem very real about what's happening in the world. Back in reality, Ben realizes they are being followed by a car and tries to get away. Too busy watching the car behind them, they almost crash into a dinosaur on the road, so they stop. The car behind them also stops, but then drives away. In the morning, Ben stopped at a gas station to get food and gas. There, he sees a dinosaur resting. As he refills the tank, Ben thinks the gas station owner is working to get them. He fights with Darius, who thinks that Ben is being paranoid when no one has chased them for hours. Their argument is interrupted when the dinosaur gets stuck in a pole. They help it get out, but this causes the dinosaur to panic and start a fire. After much struggle, the two of them manage to stop the fire and are given snacks by the owner, who thanks them for their bravery. They refill the gas and leave for Texas. As they leave, Darius notices a suspicious car, but does not say anything. As they speed away, the car begins to follow them. Ben and Darius eventually arrive at Sammy's ranch, but immediately smell something burning. They rush inside only to find that Sammy is fine and has only burned a pie. As Ben tries to talk to her, Sammy can't seem to sit still and rushes out of the house after telling the boys to follow her. When they head outside, Ben and Darius are surprised to find that their pet dinosaur, Bumpy, is still alive. While Ben plays with Bumpy, a man named Carl recklessly drives toward Bumpy, almost killing her before stopping in the middle of the field. Aggravated, Bumpy hurls her body at the truck. Angry, Carl gets out of his truck and starts screaming about killing Bumpy. This does not sit well with Ben, who gets involved in the argument he is having with Sammy, pointing out that Carl was the one who almost crushed the dinosaur. Before things can get even more heated up, Sammy puts a stop to their argument and manages to send Carl away. Once again, instead of listening to what the boys have to say, she rushes back inside her house. Finally, Ben corners Sammy in her kitchen and tells her that they are being hunted and that they need to warn their friends Kenji and Yaz about it. All of a sudden, the lights go off. Sensing something off, the three friends decide to split up as Sammy goes to check on the breaker box, while Ben and Darius go outside to check. To their surprise, they find Carl's truck parked outside the ranch with a dead Carl inside it. Just then, they notice one of the raptors roaming around. Meanwhile, Sammy tries fixing the breaker but realizes that her lights have been cut off. At that moment, she notices a raptor inside her house. To hide from it, she enters Brooklyn's room in her house and hides behind the door. This is when she finds a map falling out of Brooklyn's old jacket. Outside, Ben decides to let Bumpy out of her cage before the raptors can kill her, while Darius draws their attention and begins getting chased by them. He gets cornered inside a barn, but knocks over a stack of hay and traps the raptor underneath it, giving him enough time to escape. He spots Sammy through the window and signals for her to join him in Ben's truck. The two boys get inside the truck and wait for Sammy to join them. Inside the house, Sammy sneaks out of the room while the raptor is busy in her kitchen and rushes towards the truck. As the friends leave, a strange woman appears on the ranch and starts whistling, causing all the raptors to turn around and lock themselves inside a DPW truck. The three of them continue traveling until Darius and Ben notice a DPW driving past them, carrying the Allosaurus. Darius points out that it was this dinosaur that killed Brooklyn. Sometime later, they arrive outside Kenji's trailer and are surprised to see where he is living since his father is extremely rich. As the friends are talking, Kenji shows up behind them and lets all of them inside, except for Darius. It turns out that Kenji is mad at Darius for not being there to save Brooklyn's life the night she was killed, since the two of them were supposed to meet up. Sammy lets him inside, and Ben tells Kenji that Brooklyn's death was not an accident. He claims that since her death, all of them have been hunted. At first, he denies their crazy theories, but when Sammy shows him the map she's found, they discover that Brooklyn went to visit Kenji's father before she died. He immediately rejects any plans of seeing his father, saying that he does not want to see him since he left all of them to die on the island filled with dinosaurs. He then rushes out of the trailer and walks into the forest. Seeing this, Sammy suggests that they should split up since Yaz has not been answering her calls. In the end, Ben joins Sammy since she is taking his van, and Darius is left to deal with Kenji. Once everyone leaves, he follows Kenji and finds that he is climbing a cliff and decides to follow him. Meanwhile, Kenji reaches the top easily and starts thinking about the day he broke up with Brooklyn. The two of them had been on a date, but Brooklyn was busy on her cell phone. He had told her that she was always lost in her own world and that things were not going to work out between them. By the time Darius reaches the top of the cliff, he notices Kenji crying. To make him feel better, he tells Kenji that Brooklyn had felt really bad about how things had ended between them. When Kenji asks him how he knew that, Darius confesses that Brooklyn came to live with him right before she died. This upsets Kenji even more, and he turns away. Knowing that they need answers, Kenji agrees to meet with his father. At the end of the episode, we see Bumpy getting tranquilized by DPW workers and being transported to a secret location. Kenji and Darius head on their way to meet Kenji's father. At the same time, Sammy and Ben arrive at a carnival where they notice a man holding dinosaurs inside and getting them to perform for his circus act. Seeing this, Sammy suggests freeing the dinos. Meanwhile, Kenji and Darius arrive at the house Kenji's father is being kept in, and he immediately confronts his father, asking him if he got Brooklyn killed. Instead of giving him a straight answer, Kenji's father proposes a deal to him, claiming that he will tell the two friends everything they need to know about Brooklyn, in exchange for him becoming the CEO of his new company, so that he can run things from behind the scenes since his reputation had been ruined after the Nublar Island disaster. Frustrated, Kenji walks out of the house. Back at the carnival, Sammy and Ben free the dinosaurs, but start arguing about Ben suspecting Sammy of being the one behind the threats he has been receiving. While they are arguing, the dinosaurs begin to get out of control. Hearing the chaos, the owner of the carnival walks in and catches them. He tries to fight them, but the two friends manage to evade all of his attacks and walk away unharmed. As soon as they leave, the man calls someone and tells them that they might have trouble heading their way. On the other hand, Darius convinces Kenji to agree to his father's terms so that they can get answers. His father begins telling him about Brooklyn coming to meet him and talking about dinosaurs that were being sold. However, before he can tell them anything else, Darius realizes that everything has gotten too quiet. This is when they notice a raptor behind them. The three of them try to run away, but Kenji's father gets caught by a raptor and is killed. This gives the two friends a chance to run away from the house. The mysterious woman appears as well and starts whistling, causing the raptors to continue chasing the two boys until they reach the middle of the road where they are picked up by someone driving by. Yaz has a flashback from 14 months ago. Brooklyn had been visiting her and helping her get over her trauma of dinosaurs ever since the Nublar Island incident. When Brooklyn asks Yaz why she had invited her over, instead of her own girlfriend, Sammy, she confesses that Sammy treats her like a traumatized child and cannot see that Yaz has made considerable progress. Yaz confesses that she has managed to control her anxiety, but Sammy is unable to see it. In the present time, Yaz notices Sammy calling her again, and this time, she decides to answer the call. To her surprise, Sammy tells her that they are on their way to see her. Not long after that, Sammy and Ben arrive at a sanctuary that is protected by a large gate, with a sign outside that says it is a dino-free sanctuary. Sometime later, they meet with Yaz and tell her about their theories. However, Sammy tries to not give her too much information at once, making Yaz mad, who claims that Sammy was wrong to keep the information from reaching her. Ben interrupts their argument and tells Yaz that she needs to leave with them, but Yaz thinks that all of them should regroup and live on the island since it is safer than most places. To convince them, she gives them a tour of the island, even showing them a dinosaur simulator to help people get over their fear of dinosaurs. Despite this, Sammy does not want to stay on the island and tells Yaz that she has been deliberately ignoring her calls and refuses to keep in touch. She then storms off as Ben watches helplessly. He tries talking to Yaz and reassures her that relationships are hard, especially if they are long distance when they hear a loud roar. Yaz realizes that since there were no other dinosaur simulators in the sanctuary, it is likely that a dinosaur had managed to break through the gates. She and Ben rush to find Sammy so that they can leave the island. Eventually, they find Sammy walking through towards the exit and pick her up on the way as they get chased by the dinosaur. Things get worse for them when they notice another dinosaur headed their way from the other side of the bridge. Trapped and nowhere to go, they begin to panic until they notice a DPW van driving towards them. The three of them relax until the DPW workers start shooting at their tires. With 4 flat tires, Ben is unable to move the van. All of a sudden, the dinosaur behind them crashes into them and pushes the van towards the edge of the bridge. With one last swing, both the dinosaur and the van, with all 3 of the friends inside, plunge into the water. Yaz is the first one to open her eyes and finds that their van is slowly filling up with water. To make things worse, the dinosaur that had fallen into the water with them started to swing its tail, cracking its windshield in the process, causing water to start leaking in. Meanwhile, Kenji starts to have a panic attack inside the car and asks the mysterious man to stop the car. At first, the man hesitates, but when Darius threatens him, he stops in the middle of the road. Kenji rushes out of the car and starts crying. At this moment, Darius recognizes the man as the DPW worker he had come across when Brooklyn was killed. The man confesses that his name is Mateo, and he was there the night Brooklyn was killed because he had taken up an extra shift for extra money. Everything started out normally with him transporting tranquilized dinosaurs, until one day he realized that the dinosaur he was transporting was not tranquilized. All of a sudden, the transportation truck's lock unlocked on its own, and the Allosaurus escaped. It would have killed Mateo, but got distracted as Brooklyn came looking for Darius. Mateo was forced to hear Brooklyn scream as she was killed, and once the police were called, he pretended to be one of the DPW workers who came after Darius called them. To his surprise, once Mateo got in his car to return home for the night, he received a payment for a job well done. To make up for not helping Brooklyn, Mateo hands Kenji Brooklyn's cell phone. He then asks them where they should be going. Darius opens the map on Brooklyn's phone and notices an address marked as home. A home that her friends knew nothing about. Mateo drops them off at the house and then leaves. Upon entering her apartment, Darius turns on Brooklyn's computer and finds a site called Dark Jurassic where an unknown drop point is highlighted. At the same time, Kenji goes through Brooklyn's apartment and finds a bag full of money hidden inside the closet. He theorizes that Brooklyn might have been working with his father and received a large sum of money to help his father buy dinosaurs. He then proposes that they should go to the drop point to find out what Brooklyn was up to before she died. During this, Ben, Sammy, and Yaz struggle to get the van's doors to open up. In front of them, the dinosaur continues to thrash inside the water and knocks their van over one more time, causing it to bump into large rocks behind them. Eventually, the doors open up just as the van fills with water and the 3 friends swim up to the surface. There, they notice DPW workers loading up a tranquilized dinosaur into their van. The 3 friends decide to sneak into the van to see where they are taking the dinosaur. The 3 friends quietly sit next to the sleeping dinosaur in fear of it waking up, until Yaz eventually decides to look out the truck to see where they are going. She climbs on top of the dinosaur, but finds that there are no signs for her to read. Meanwhile, Kenji decides that they should go through Brooklyn's cell phone to find more information about her work, but Darius does not think it is a good idea, since he knows that Kenji will find the messages he had left for her. Sometime later, Sammy, Ben, and Yaz arrive at a remote facility where DPW workers are loading dinosaurs into cargo containers before transporting them. While the 3 of them are watching the workers, Darius's old boss, Cabrera, catches them. When they ask him what is going on, he tries to act clueless and insists that he does not know anything about the raptors or the illegal selling of dinosaurs. Before he can alert any of his workers, Sammy kicks him down, giving the group a chance to escape. As they run through the facility, Ben notices Bumpy inside a cage looking distressed. He quickly gets to work to free her while the 2 girls distract the workers from catching Ben. Darius and Kenji follow the drop location from Brooklyn's cell phone and reach a remote area with only an abandoned cabin in sight. They hide inside as they wait for the buyers to meet. Once again, Kenji insists on checking Brooklyn's cell phone and finds that Darius has continued to leave messages on Brooklyn's answering machine. He ends up confessing that he had fallen in love with Brooklyn when she was staying with him. However, when he confessed, she told him that she still had feelings for Kenji. Just then, Kenji pulls up a video that Brooklyn was trying to send Darius the night she was killed but had been unable to press send since she was killed. They start playing the video where Brooklyn asks Darius where he is before she hears the Allosaurus behind her. She starts running, but the dinosaur is faster than she is, and the video ends as Brooklyn starts screaming. They don't get to question the video as they hear vehicles approaching the cabin. Not being able to see who the buyers are in the dark, Kenji tells Darius that they need to follow them to get their answers. On the other hand, Sammy and Yaz steal a car and start driving towards the exit when they see Ben getting into another truck with Bumpy. They decide to follow them and eventually find themselves at another facility. Inside the truck, Ben tries to calm Bumpy down, who seems agitated and restless, but can't do anything as she is still tranquilized. At the same time, Kenji and Darius arrive at the facility as well and sneak inside, only to find it filled with cages of dinosaurs that have been marked deceased. Kenji tells Darius that they need to climb into the warehouse, while Yaz and Sammy do the same. Finally, the four of them reunite but quickly notice the Allosaurus that killed Brooklyn inside the cage in front of them. Kenji informs them that he thinks Brooklyn was buying dinosaurs for his father before she was killed. Before anyone can ask him any more questions, Ben rushes towards them and tells them that Bumpy is sick and is dying. With this, the entire group rushes to Bumpy only to find that she was pregnant and has now laid an egg. They don't get time to celebrate this as Cabrera corners the group once again. As soon as Darius sees Cabrera, he gets mad, claiming that Cabrera was supposed to protect dinosaurs from humans. Once again, he mentions the raptors, but Cabrera seems confused since he did not know anything about the raptors after the group. Just then, Sammy kicks Cabrera again, and the group starts running away, hiding behind the dinosaur cages. Just then, the mysterious woman arrives at the facility and starts whistling, causing the raptors to rush in and kill Cabrera. She then turns away to leave with the raptors when one of the dinosaurs smells the group and alerts the woman. When she notices them hiding behind the cages, she starts whistling again, causing the raptors to attack them again. In the limited space that they have, all of them try to get away but would have been caught, if it wasn't for Mateo, who drives through the facility's gates and crushes the woman and the raptors under rubble. With his help, the group frees all of the dinosaurs from their cages and escapes. In the meantime, the raptors manage to break free from under the rubble and start attacking other dinosaurs. As chaos breaks out and dinosaurs begin fighting among themselves, the mysterious woman climbs on top of a container and watches the scene unfolding in front of her. Seeing this, Darius frees the Allosaurus before making a run for it. As soon as the Allosaurus breaks free from the facility, it attacks the raptors and kills them swiftly. Thinking that everything has now come to an end, the group overhears DPW workers talking about getting a few dinosaurs to the broker. Even though everyone wants to go back home, Darius tells them that things have not ended for them, and that they need to track down the broker to end things once and for all. Unbeknownst to them, Ronnie calls Brooklyn, who is still alive, and gives her an update on the chaos her friends have been creating. We appreciate you for sticking to the end of this video. Please do us a huge favor and check out these other videos, and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.